Good morning, Kings. In part one, we discussed what the purpose of boundaries was. That is, to love with the intent to protect. We are going to take this to the next level to talk about how to create healthy boundaries, which might seem like a daunting task at first because boundaries can be many things: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, time, material, relational, digital, professional, verbal, financial, social, etc., 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 on and on. So, where do we start? Well, a good place to start is, what are you responsible for? No boundary can ever be used as an excuse to avoid what your responsibilities are. While boundaries are meant to love others and protect what matters, responsibilities ultimately shape in what our boundaries look like. Let me give you an example. I work from home and I'm paid for the hours between 9 to 5. I'm responsible to my employer between those hours. So my house has work boundaries between 9 to 5 because that is my work day. I'm not available to do things around the house. Another example is, as a parent, I set all kinds of boundaries for my kids. Don't go near the stove, certain things around bedtime, limits around snacks, you name it. And all of these are defined by my parenting responsibilities and are changeable depending on the age of my child. As it says in Proverbs 22:6. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not depart from it. Now, some boundaries will change over time. Certainly the ones regarding my children will as they mature. For example, the boundaries around the stove will lift, and I will teach them on how to use it, because that's a loving thing to do, to give them life skills so that they can succeed at life. At work, I may be responsible for getting multiple tasks done. So I may have to set boundaries on how I do those tasks. Sure, I'll get to this job after I'm done this one, and so forth. Now, this may mean that you might need to set boundaries on how much you take on and when you take on. In Exodus 18, Jethro visits an overwhelmed Moses who is dealing with all of the people's issues before the Lord, and he encourages Moses to set up some boundaries, and he gives him a strategy for delegation. Moses' father-in-law replied, "What you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You can't handle it alone. Listen to me, and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and instructions, and show them the way they are to live and how they are to behave. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens." So, in setting boundaries, we are also to set limits on the amount of responsibilities that we take on. Sure, I'd love to work and serve more, but I might have to prioritize what I'm currently stewarding, such as my family. After all, my family is my first ministry. Of course, this starts to depart from the areas of boundary setting into areas of stewardship in management. But as you can see, what you are responsible for will ultimately determine the structure of your boundaries. But what about setting boundaries of how much I take on for others? Well, Paul gives us a powerful framework in Galatians 6. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks they are something that they are not, they deceive themselves. Each one should test their own actions, then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. For each one should carry their own load. At first glance, this seems like a contradiction. You are to help carry burdens, but not loads. Well, fortunately, the Greek helps us out with this. The term burden, baros, refers to an overwhelming weight. It's grief, it's trauma, it's crushing. And the context of this refers back to verse 1, where it's talking about helping a person who's caught in sin. Basically, we are to help people who are facing things that they're not able to handle on their own. It is a burden. Loads, in contrast, and the Greek here is porthorgion. I'm sure I butchered that. But it refers to a daily responsibility like a backpack. Each person is expected to carry their own stuff. So here's the principle. We are called to help those who have burdens, but not carry their loads for them. Another way to put it is we are here to support one another, not fix one another. It's a big difference. And boundaries help us discern the difference. For example, if a friend loses a loved one, we come alongside them. That's a burden. That is something that is crushing them and they need support. And you may choose to even help them by picking up the phone, contacting loved ones, and setting up arrangements. That's a burden, right? But if a friend consistently refuses to manage their finances or their time and they expect you to fix it for them, that's a load. That's their responsibility. So I hope you can see the difference there. Love says, I'll help carry what is crushing you. Wisdom says, I won't carry what God has assigned to you. Now, this is going to depend very much depending on the person's abilities, their situation, and so forth. For example, I don't expect a person with dementia to suddenly be able to manage their finances, but someone might have the responsibility of being a power of attorney, and that is part of their load to carry because it's part of their responsibilities. So I hope that helps put some things into perspective. In summary, the point of boundaries is to help us love one another by helping us protect what is sacred, but this is ultimately defined by our responsibilities. For your reflection questions for this segment, what responsibilities has God entrusted to me, and do my boundaries reflect that stewardship? Am I helping someone carry a burden, or am I trying to carry their load? Do my boundaries help me serve faithfully without being overwhelmed? Well, that's it for today. I will close in the words of Proverbs 14:8. The wisdom of the prudent is to give thought to their ways, but the folly of fools is deception. Have a great day, Kings.